Big data is everywhere, including the weather. I'm Tonya Hall, and joining me is Dr. Kevin Petty, Director of Science and Forecast Operations, Public and Private Partnerships at IBM's The Weather Company. Welcome, Dr. Petty.
Thank you, Tonya, for having me.
Absolutely. So we recognize IBM's Weather Company as a parent organization for the Weather Channel. What does the Public-Private Partnerships Group do?
Well, the public-private partnerships aspect is really, we believe in developing partnerships across what we would call the global weather enterprise. And what I mean by that is the public, private, and academic sectors. In order for us to really conquer some of the world's most challenging problems around weather and climate, it takes a village, as they say. So we look to partner across the weather enterprise in order to do that.
Artificial intelligence leveraging big data is everywhere today, and weather's no exception to that. How is IBM's Watson being used to spread weather safety information?
Well, of course, one of our main goals is really ensuring that people are safe, ensuring that we protect property, as well as, improving the economic vitality of our nation and in countries around the world. So, as you mentioned, there is a ton of data out there, and particularly weather data, and we can utilize those weather data to find relationships to other things that impact our lives, whether that be our personal lives or really aspects of different industries. For example, how the aviation industry operates and how weather impacts the aviation industry. So we're utilizing artificial intelligence to really find those relationships and pick out those details so we can really increase effectiveness and efficiency in operations and protect lives at the same time.
Tell us about Deep Thunder and how this platform uses machine learning to help retailers understand how weather affects consumer buying behavior.
Um, in Tanya, I'm going to have to maybe take you in a different direction than that. In that, when we talk about Deep Thunder, we're actually talking about a numerical weather prediction model, which is not essentially AI based. When we talk about numerical models, we're talking about mathematical models that simulate the atmosphere into the future. And based upon the data that come out of those models, we can now correlate those data utilizing artificial intelligence to other non-weather related data sets to truly understand those impacts. So it's important for us to understand, hey, when we're talking about numerical models, we're talking about these mathematical models that capture the physical properties of the atmosphere, and then we simulate that forward in time. And again, with those data, we can do great things with AI.
And speaking of big data, explain how the global high resolution atmospheric forecasting system will use crowdsourced data for hyperlocal weather forecasting.
Well, with our global high resolution atmospheric forecast system, we're looking at this system as a model in which we will continue to develop as we move forward into the future. And this model is designed, of course, to forecast the atmosphere in the future in time and space. And the key thing here is that anytime you want to forecast the future, you need to know what's happening right now. Therefore, it's important for us to acquire data, all kinds of data sets, in order to assess what's happening in the atmosphere at this very moment. And with that information, we will be able to better predict the future. So again, those data sets are so important. We'll be utilizing conventional data sets, and then we'll be exploring how do we leverage new non-conventional data sets that maybe nobody has explored before. And so that's going to be an exciting area of research for us.
What kind of computing power is behind the system?
Well, we utilize IBM's Power 9 system. And one of the fundamental elements of this system is that it is a GPU-based system in the sense that we're using graphical processing units instead of what you might find on your laptops, which is CPU-based. These GPUs are allowing us to accelerate our models in terms of the runtime. And therefore, we can run quicker. That allows us to update the model quicker and run at higher resolution. So both temporally and spatially is what's really important about this model. We're going to move from scales of on the order of about 10 kilometers down to 3 kilometers. And then instead of updating, let's say every 6 hours, we're going to be updating hourly. And that allows us to provide rapid updates, good information for people out there, the public, as well as different industries around the world.
So, what should we expect to see related to big data and weather in this new year?
Oh my goodness, the possibilities out there are really endless. I think the one thing that is uh, really key and essential that you're going to continue to see come out of the weather company and IBM as a whole is how do we address problems around the world, whether they be fundamental weather problems or how are those weather issues kind of tied to things such as health, how we grow crops, how we move people in accordance with transportation. Again, just the ideas, the possibilities out there are really endless. So we're going to be looking across these different areas of how we utilize big data. Um, Fundamentally, how do we leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning? And then really taking into account the computational power that we have, whether that be in high performance computing or in terms of things like hybrid cloud and multi-cloud environments. We're going to be leveraging all that to tackle some of the world's most challenging problems as they relate to weather and climate.
Dr. Kevin Petty, Director of Science and Forecast Operations, Private and Public Partnerships at IBM's The Weather Company. If somebody wants to connect with you, Kevin, what's the best way they can do that?
Well, they can connect with me in two ways. They can reach out to our corporate website, weather.com, and find me there. Or you can reach out to me on Twitter as well at Kevin R. Petty. And so I'm happy to respond to questions, and particularly if they're about weather. We love to talk weather anytime.
Well, and everybody is impacted by the weather. Thanks so much, Kevin, for giving us some insight on the work that you're doing. And if you guys want to connect with me, you can do that by following my interviews right here or go to tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.